Okay, put your hand up if you're a Chrome user. Keep your hand up if you have more than one Google account. Hand still up. How about if you feel confident that you have your Google Chrome all squared away, well organized, and you feel like I got this in the bag? Anybody's hand kind of start creeping down? Well, if your hand's creeping down because you've got the Chrome account and you have more than one Chrome account, but you don't feel like it's all that put together and well organized, this is a session for you. Getting your Chrome under control. We have so many different pieces in our life these days that if we can't get it under control digitally, then it's going to be a big mess. And things happen, jobs change, teachers switch districts. If your Chrome isn't under control and you decide to leave and go to a new district, you might be in for a little bit of a rude awakening. It might be kind of tough, and you might find out that you might lose out on some of the really good stuff in your Chrome account. So, my name is Sarah Kiefer, and I love all things Google. I'm a technology integration specialist in my district, as well as being a Google certified trainer, innovator, and educator, as well as being one of the trainers with the Shake Up Learning team. And I love working with teachers, and I love Chrome, and I love working with teachers to get their Chrome under control. That's what this session is here for. That's where we're going to go with this. So strap in, maybe get out a notepad and jot some notes down. Or if you're comfortable with this, maybe have a separate screen or have two devices so that you can be actively doing while you're watching and taking some of these tips and best practices and ways of thinking and adopting them right now. Go ahead, use this time to get your Chrome under control. Are you ready? We've got a really, really good spot to start. If you have more than one account, you have to master the ability to have multiple accounts. And I've been asked this question a lot, and I have one simple answer. Keep them as separate as possible. Because when you don't and things get jumbled up, that's typically when I have teachers that come to me a lot of times in a panic because they can no longer put stuff or they can't put the right stuff into their Google Classrooms. And we come to find out that their school account isn't the owner of the file or the activity or the Google Slides or whatever it is they're trying. They can't put that into their classroom until they're the owner. And then it's just another layer of frustration that really, honest and truly, does not need to be there. And this is going to be beautiful because it works whether you're on a Mac or you're on a PC. Now, if you're a tablet person or you're a Chromebook person, it's going to work differently. And Chromebooks, really just in general, force this kind of in a way anyway. Because with a Chromebook, you have to log into your profile, and you can really truly only be logged into one profile at a time. Now, you can create some turmoil inside your account, even on a Chromebook, but it just really does help separate out your profiles. Now, if you're on a Mac or a Windows PC, on a laptop, desktop, computer, that's what we're going to be talking about here. That's what we're going to focus on. If you're a tablet user, maybe you could put some of these things in practice, maybe not. It just kind of depends on how comfortable you are with kind of investigating and figuring out the correlation. So you have to know how to manage this. And this is such a hot topic. Casey has an entire blog dedicated to this. I think she has a couple of videos dedicated to this, which I'll include in the resources so that you can always go and refer to this too. But here's what I'm going to show you. Notice I have 3 different profile pictures over here. Some of us might have more than that. So I always think of everything that I do in Google as this is my Sarah Google, my Sarah School Google, this is my Sarah at Home Google account, and then this is my Sarah Google Trainer account. I do have a couple more accounts, which you're going to see here in a second, but having that mindset from the beginning that I'm going to do schoolwork and school account, personal stuff like with my own girls' teachers and things that I subscribe to for me personally, for shopping things, I use my personal account, and then for my Google Trainer account, I use that for specific purposes when I do some trainings. So keep those things in mind. Like, you kind of are segmenting out your different pieces of your life. And it sounds kind of weird, but doesn't it kind of sound right at the same time? You don't need to operate and do financial stuff in your school account. That's a bad idea. And you don't need to do like business stuff in your school account or do school stuff in your personal account. And things just tend to get very wonky, is my favorite word for this. So we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at how you can easily, and I mean easily, manage your different Google Chrome profiles. Oh, can be a little bit of a tongue twister. So that's where you've got to have these things clear in your brain, right? That's where maybe taking notes down, writing out like, this is what I use this account for, this is what I use this account for. Hopefully you don't have too many accounts, but some of us do. Here's how we can do it. Are you ready? So I've got my Chrome window open. I'm on my laptop. And if you look for, and I want you to do a little bit of investigating, a little bit of digging here, a little bit of exploration, just like we would do with our students. I want you to find what I refer to as the world's skinniest snowman. Now, the world's skinniest snowman is going to show up in a lot of different places, but he's always in your Google Chrome web browser. Are you looking for him? Did you find him yet? And if you're kind of rolling your eyes going, this lady's crazy, that's okay too, because once I point him out to you, you're going to remember where he's at. And I want you to always find and click on the world's skinniest snowman. He's going to provide a lot of different things for you. And we're going to be visiting him a lot today in this session. So the world's skinniest snowman is up in your top right corner, right up here. And when you hover, it says customize and control Google Chrome. Bingo. That's what we need. That's where we need to go, right? There's a profile picture to the left of it. And when you hover over it, it tells you what profile you're working out of. What happens when you click on your profile? Look at that. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? So that profile picture is actually not hiding, but it's providing to you an easy access to all of your accounts. And yep, you can see I've got a lot of accounts, right? But I can manage them. And I've got them each set up as their own profile, which goes so many wonderful ways for me. Because when I'm ready to do something out of school or I'm ready to do something at home, I can easily click on any of these profiles and it takes me to that. It'll open up a new window. I don't worry about the cross-contamination. We'll get to that in a second. That sounds kind of weird, but I'll explain that in a moment. But you can see I have all of these different accounts, and it truly is as easy as clicking on it and their profile is going to show up. Now you say, well, Sarah, how do you do that? Go all the way to the bottom. Just like in math class, you want to add a new profile. You're going to click the add button and it's going to open a new window and it's going to ask you to sign into Chrome. Easy peasy. It's as simple as that. Now you might say, well, Sarah, what if I have profiles on there that I don't want to have on here? You ready? Find your world's skinniest snowman, profile picture to the left of him, click on that settings gear wheel that's in that profile column, click on that settings gear wheel, and here I've got all of them laid out now as tiles. And the nice thing about this is if you're ready to get rid of a profile, or you can even add a profile in here, you can see that. You can add a profile there as well. And then you can move on and separate out, work through your different accounts, and it will help keep everything clean. Now, when you're ready to, if you need to, delete, remember that world's skinniest snowman? He's on each of your tiles. Click on him. You have the option to either edit, and that would be like editing the name of it, or you can delete that profile if you no longer want it on your account. Now, one thing to note on that, you're not actually deleting the profile, like deleting the account, getting rid of the account, shutting the account down. Not that delete. You're just deleting it off of this computer. So it won't show up for you anymore. And that's nice if you no longer need that profile. And if you accidentally do delete it, scroll down here, add one on, and voila, like you're back in it. That brings that profile back in, and it's like you never left. That's okay. This screen right here can be your best friend so that you know which accounts are what and you've added them or who they are or whatever. This is also nice if you have to do a little bit of sharing. You have co-teachers coming into your room, being able to allow them to pull up their account and work through that. It's a very simple process. Like, let's do it one more time. Oh, my screen went. Let's go back. There we go. Profile picture. You can add an account. Settings. You can delete the account off of your profiles. Now, you can also come here and do some managing of your Google account, and we can explore that. But getting that profile separation is key. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they mistake the top profile picture for an inside profile picture. We're going to dig into that a little bit deeper in a second. So stop right now. Just think for maybe a minute. How many profiles is appropriate for you? How many do you want to manage? And get those written down so that if you want to, or pause this and work on your other device and get your profiles in order. All right, let's move on. Now that we've separated out the accounts, let's go through and let's talk about some settings. Are you ready? Settings are a big game changer once you understand the flexibility that you have with them. And a lot of these settings that I'm going to suggest are just that. They're suggestions. They don't work for everybody. There are some that will make your life a lot easier, and there are some that maybe you might go, that's too much, or I don't need that, or that's not appealing to me. However you want to make it work, please make sure that you're making it work for you. Suggested settings are just that, suggestions, okay? I'm going to make some suggestions. If you like them and you want to keep using them, go for it. If not, move on. All right, now to get to your settings, Skinny Snowman, and you've got some settings right here that we're going to talk about real quickly. Please make sure that you understand how easy it is to adjust some of these settings right here, right now. My favorite setting to go into this is for my bookmarks bar. I love my bookmarks bar, except for when I'm presenting. I don't feel like it does anything for my screen if I have the bookmarks bar showing while I'm presenting using my screen. I feel like it kind of clutters it up and actually takes up a little bit of space. So if your domain allows, if you're in a school domain, sometimes they force this, sometimes they don't. Kind of up to you. In this account, I get to choose. So I can easily show the bookmarks bar, or after turning it on, I can also easily come back here and just uncheck it, and it goes away. So you see how a little bit of space, but to me, it's a much cleaner look when I'm presenting. Just makes it a little less cluttered for the viewers. Another thing you can look at on here is the history. This is a great little setting in here. And it's not actually anything that you have to like do, but just know that this is here, and it'll allow you to look at your recently closed tabs. You can restore tabs. You can see your full history. This is great for students, for teachers knowing how to do this for their students. Because sometimes they do close out tabs that they really did need, or they're telling you that they were doing something, and maybe through investigation you find out that they weren't doing that or whatever. But know that that's there as well. You can easily zoom in and out right here. You can go full screen, printing, casting, a lot more tools in this area, which extensions is a great place to find the extensions right there. And then towards the bottom, here is the general settings for your Chrome account. And then finally, this help is a really helpful area. The setting on here that I'd really like to point out to you is when it shows you the About Google Chrome. If your Chrome account is acting kind of strange, pictures aren't loading, or maybe the website's loading kind of funky, you know what the website looks like and it's kind of odd, you might need to update your Chrome. Even though your World's Skinniest Snowman isn't indicating it, you might need to go in and force an update and make things better. It's a really simple task. That's where you can go. You click on it, and it's going to take you into your settings where it tells you what your Chrome is. It's actually actively checking, and it tells me that my Chrome's up to date. I'm good to go. Now, notice when you do that, it also pops you into a lot of these settings right here, which you can also get to. World's Skinniest Snowman. Towards the bottom, you got it. Click on Settings. It's going to take you here. Now, this screen looks a little bit different because it's actively already opened the settings area. So you can see your account. Here you can manage some of your services. You can manage your actual account. You can customize your Google Chrome profile, which this is awesome, okay? Especially when you have multiple profiles, that visual cue for your brain to look at this, and I've got a teal at the top, reminds me that I'm in this Shake Up Learning account, where my home, it's a blue bar at the top, and for school, it's like a white color at the top. So I use those visual cues to really quickly help me remember I'm in this particular account. It's really helpful. All you do is click on this, and here's where you can change the color of your top up here. Now, you can also change your avatar, which your avatar is this guy up here in the corner, and that is a little avocado for this account. I just picked it so that it's easy for me to recognize, kind of just something I randomly chose when I created this account, and easy peasy. I remember that the avocado is my Shake Up Learning account. But it also helps me because I have chosen this color. Now, if you've got that good to go back out. And then here's where, if you're coming from one place to another, moving from one web browser to Chrome, you can import your bookmarks and settings. If you had them already customized and set up the way that you like them in your prior account, you could just bring them over through here. Down here, passwords. I'm not going to jump into that because it's a little bit of a security thing. I don't feel like I need to share all of my passwords, and I would ask that you don't share all of your passwords with everybody else. But know in this area, it's going to show you a list of all of your saved passwords. And this is a tip that I give to all of my teachers. And honestly, anybody that's a heavy Chrome user. Your Chrome is set up to allow you to pick and choose when you save passwords, which is great, except for when you need to type in that password because maybe you have to update it, or maybe something happened and it's not remembered in your system anymore, but you think that it is, or any number of other reasons why you might want to know what is that saved password, and maybe you didn't write it down, or you don't have another secure place to hold on to it. You can actually go into this passwords area. Like I said, I'm not going to show you for security reasons, but it will give you a list. Find the website that you want to see what your password is, and it's going to show you to the right of it. There's going to be a series of dots, and there's going to be an eyeball. And when you click on that eyeball, it's going to ask you for your password. Type in the password, and then it's going to show you what your saved password is as far as what Chrome believes that it is. If you've updated it and chosen not to save it and it's remembering the old one, that's a little bit different of a story. But what I even tell teachers is like, oh, I'm going to write this down. And I say, no. Copy and paste that. That's what Chrome is remembering. Maybe you have an extra space in there that you aren't aware of and you can't see right away. Copy and paste that back to where you need to paste it. And then when you close out of your settings, it no longer shows it. You'd have to type in the password again. So it's kind of a really phenomenal way for you to save your passwords, but know how to figure out what they are, which we all have about 1 trillion passwords these days. So anytime you can help yourself out, please do. Now, I also suggest that you have a backup somewhere else secure that you're able to track your passwords, keep track of them, whether it's a password manager on your device, whether it's a locked document of some nature, or if you have piece of paper or something that you're going to be able to find your own passwords later. Now, payment methods we're not going to dive into deeply with because I feel like that's a very personal aspect to a Chrome account. And I don't feel like I need to really kind of sway you one way or the other. Either you're a person that's comfortable doing it or you're a person that's not. That's good enough. Now, addresses and more, again, auto-filling. A lot of people have their home address remembered, so then it's easy if you're out somewhere and you're using a Google map or you're on the computer and you need to get directions from one place to another, it'll remember that. Again, total personal preference. Let's keep on going. This area right here with privacy and security, we're not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on this one because in a domain, a lot of times these things are enforced or your domain is telling you how you shouldn't use different things. One thing that most places are going to, if not all, most places are going to allow you to have control over clearing not necessarily your history, but your cookies and your cache. And as much as I would love to say that it's like the cookies that you're going to eat, it has nothing to do with that. It's just what they refer to in computer speak. And sometimes, again, things get a little wonky. Maybe your Chrome is up to date. Things are still a little bit wonky and you just are not sure what's going on. Probably a great troubleshooting step for you to do next would be, and you can do this independently, is click on this clear browsing data. A lot of times I will recommend to teachers, because we do so much like real quick short research and we need to be able to come back to it and find that. I was just looking at that website the other day. What's it called? I always suggest like uncheck that browsing history, but do clear the cookies and other site data, the cached images. And then here's the key piece to it, not just the last hour. Make sure that you select of all time, which really kind of clears the back inner-ish brain of your computer. Now, if you've been told not to do this because they don't want you doing this or they've restricted you from being able to do this, no biggie. It's a good troubleshooting step that teachers and students, if they're taught to be able to do this, can do. And it a lot of times will help kind of clean things up for you. Continuing on, here is the appearance. So what does your Chrome actually look like? And here's where it really kind of gets into, these are some of my heavy hitters of what I do strongly recommend. The theme is a very personal choice. It's more than just the theme at the top of my Chrome window. You can have different backgrounds. You can really kind of dig in deeper with pictures and images that show up on your Chrome account. Me, I just like to keep things simple. There are plenty of other things that are complicated, but explore this if you really want to. Now, the home button, if it's not on 100%, please do this. This home button is probably the #1 bookmark that you're going to have. And we're going to talk about bookmarks here in a little bit too, but this is the #1 bookmark. So what is the biggest, most important, most common, heavily used site that you use? Make that your home button. Maybe it's your school's website. Maybe it's a grade program for you. Maybe it's a collection of websites that you've put on a Google Doc or whatever you want it to be. You're going to either have it be default as a new tab, or you can enter in a custom web address. So for example, what if I wanted shakeuplearning.com to be my homepage? All I have to do is type it in. I did click my enter button, but you can also click out to the side. And now watch what happens. I'm going to open a new tab so we can easily come back to our settings. Because if I just click the home button, it's going to change this page. So I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to click on my home button. And it's going to take me right to that website. Whatever it is that you've bookmarked, your number one bookmark should be your home. Now, in some domains, it is forced. So maybe your students can't self-select their home button. Not a bad thing, because obviously that home then is what they want the kids to be able to go to quickly, easily, constantly. For us, it's the area where our students access their digital programs. And it is forced for them. Super easy. Makes things a little bit nicer. And all you have to do is teach the kids, hey, click on your home. You're only one click away from your home. And they can get there, and it's easy, and you're done. You can also change this at any time that you want. Just come back to this page. Here again, you can turn your bookmarks bar on or off, up to you. And I also showed you how it's super easy to do that without jumping into this page by using that World's Skinniest Snowman. You can change your font size. This works really nice if you have some sort of visual need, or maybe something bothers your eyes and you want to try to minimize that. You can check that out. Here you've got some fonts, which that's fun, right? You can go through and you can adjust your fonts, play around with that. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. I'm not going to suggest fonts to you. Pick the ones that are pleasant to your eyeballs. And then here on your page zoom, what is your default? What do you want to be like your normal? 100% to me makes the most sense, although I do know of maybe some reasons why you would want it to be a little bit more magnified all the time, especially if you have a visual impairment or a student needs things just larger on a constant basis. Setting the default to be whatever it works for them makes it super easy, ready to go. Now, here we go, down here. I'm just going to leave these as the default. I do like the warning before I quit, just in case I accidentally hit that button before I'm actually ready to quit. It gives me like that one-step protection. Here is where you might be able to troubleshoot a little bit. I've seen this happen. Students, teachers somehow have Google not be their search engine, and most of the time they can't even tell me why. So you can always adjust it here by clicking on the shark tooth, and you have items to choose from. I leave mine at Google. And then here you can manage. Again, this could be enforced by your domain administrator, or so that you can't make these adjustments. Now, down here at the bottom, this is a big one, and I've recently shifted my thinking on this. I used to be a big believer in constantly closing out Chrome, like all the time. I'm closing out Chrome. So then when I woke it back up, I turned it back on. I wanted certain tabs to be there ready and waiting for me. So I was a big believer of opening to a specific set of pages, and I did that for a long time. What happened was recently, I tried the continuing where you left off, and I found that I really liked it. Because if I just need stuff to get closed, out of my way, I knew that once I opened that profile back up, and again, these are all settings specific to the profile that you're working out of. These settings aren't going to impact my school profile. They're not going to impact my personal profile. They're only impacting the profile that I'm looking. Now, I'd have to go in and do the same thing on each of these accounts. But that's really nice, because maybe in your school account, You do want set tabs, your grade program, maybe your LMS, maybe your email. You constantly want those to open up for you. And then maybe your personal, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's your child's school or your home email account or whatever. You can set it to open up to those particular pages. What I found with this account, it's really nice for me to be able to quickly close it completely and bring it right back to where it was that I left off. Again, totally up to you. The third option, the one at the very top, just says when you open this profile for the, each brand new session that you're opening this profile for, it's just going to open to a new tab page, which is kind of like a nothing page. But let's go to that nothing page for a second and check it out. So when I go to this new tab page, have you ever noticed these little buttons down here? Do you know that you can actually customize those? You can. Like, that's pretty awesome, right? A lot of people don't know that. And I've seen students showing other students how they can adjust these things. And it kind of becomes like a little landing page, a little bookmark page too, if you use it right. So notice down here where it says add shortcut. So when you click on it, you're going to type in the name, put in the URL, and that shortcut's going to show up now as one of these buttons. Now, notice you go, oh, look at all these Google Slides. Like, why do I have 4 Google Slides right there? That doesn't really tell me anything because it doesn't tell me what it actually is the Google Slide for. So I could click on it, open it up, find out what it is. Maybe I can adjust the name on it. You can also, World's Skinniest Snowman, do you see him? He shows up on them when you hover over them, edit your shortcut. So right now it just says Google Slides. So if I open that link, I'll find out what that Google Slides is, and then I can adjust the name. Maybe it is a slide that I need to have quick access to right here on this new tab page. Bottom right-hand corner, guys. Bottom right-hand corner. Do you see it? Customizing Chrome. Another area that you can dig into and decide what you want it to look like. We are getting to the point where I might be losing your attention, so come back here. Just remember, you can always pause the video, go off and do what you need to do, or rewatch the video and do this again. Keep in mind, this is just for this particular profile. All right, so you can come through here, you can pick out different images. Like, let's just see what happens if I were to pick this Earth. Now, it's a collection of pictures right here, and I can even choose to refresh this daily, which kind of is like the screensavers where they can randomize and you don't have the same screensaver all the time, or you can just select one picture and notice it's already working in my background. Did you see it get real dark? You know, so choose a different one, see how it changed my background. That's right, I'm actually customizing the new tab page, that open space right there, as to what I want it to be. Now, shortcuts. You don't have to have the shortcuts on here. You could have it be your most visited sites. It could be the ones that you've customized, as I showed you with the add shortcut or the edit the shortcuts. Cards, recipe ideas, your cards, whatever. Decide if this is something that you really want. And then color and theme takes you back to that same area. So it's a different way of getting to changing the color up here. When you're ready, all you have to do is say done. And there you go. I've customized this new tab page in Chrome. All right, let's jump back to the settings. Now, those are all of your basics. And we're going to go a little bit deeper, but we're not going to go like super deep, because you start getting into the weeds and it might get to a point where it just kind of becomes too much. So take this as a starting point and know that you can always go a little bit further. So let's see what we have in advanced. Obviously, languages is an important thing. Probably your language is pretty good where you've got it, but know that you can adjust this. Where are your downloads going? And then here we get into some accessibilities and other settings. And when you look over to the left, you've got some real quick access to some of these different areas if you want to see the appearance. Notice it takes you back to that spot. We've already talked about this. The search engine, we've talked about that. So these are really kind of like little bookmarks within all of the settings. Nice way to navigate through your settings. And then over here to the left, again, more of the advanced features, maybe not something that you want to tackle at this moment, but know that you can come back to them. Okay. Whew. That's just your settings. That's a big one. It's a really big one. Let's see what's coming up next. So after settings, let's talk about better bookmarks. We've already talked about how you can control them on your new tab page, which is pretty nice. You could also turn all of these off and then you don't have them. Now, bookmarks. I love me a good bookmark, but I also know bookmarks are a place that can get really messy really quickly, and you may not even know it. So really, to talk about this, I'm going to have to turn my bookmarks bar on. And I've kind of purposefully made my bookmarks not great. Okay? I normally don't have these bookmarks up here. Look at your bookmarks. It's fun to do this with older students or with teachers who are asking for some help and a little bit better organization. It's fun to do this. I always tell them, look on your bookmarks bar and go to the far right. Do you see like the two little side arrows? Click on them. You get a little drop down. These are all things that have been bookmarked, but you can't see them on your bookmarks bar. Maddie, seriously. I've seen where some teachers, the list just goes and there's a scroll bar and then you can scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and they go, I had no idea. I didn't bookmark all of these. Sarah, how did they get there? And they have this huge look of surprise on their face. And I always say, well, you may not remember doing it, but you've bookmarked it, right? And that's a lot. But we can clean this up. A little bit of effort, not something that's crazy hard. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can clean this up. But I also want to show you before that, before you go just straight up deleting everything, how about we actually learn how to manage your bookmarks a little bit better? And I'm going to give credit on this next tip to an 8th grade student that I had many years ago. Her name was Julia. And it was amazing. We had just gotten these Chromebooks. We'd only had them for a few months and everybody's still learning, including myself. And I happened to look over her shoulder. I was teaching 7th and 8th grade social studies at the time. I happened to look over her shoulder and I noticed on her bookmarks bar that she just had tiny icons for several of her bookmarks. And I said, Julia, did you do that? Can you tell me how? And she kind of looked at me like I was a little bit crazy. And she was like, well, Mrs. Kiefer, it's really simple. She kind of looking at me like, how do you not know this, lady? And she clicked on a bookmark that she had. I'm going to do a 2-finger click on the bookmark. If you have a mouse, it's a right click. And I'm going to go to edit. And then you can see the name of the bookmark. She said, Mrs. Kiefer, all you do is delete that so that there's nothing there in the name. You can also customize what that is. It doesn't have to be what they generically put in there. And then you click save. And then now notice that that bookmark is only the tiny little favicon is what those are called. I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I stopped class because I wanted everyone to know how to do this. Because that's what you do when you find these really cool things. You stop what everybody's doing and you show it to them, right? Okay, maybe not all the time. But I loved that. I was like, that is amazing. And this is a pretty unique icon. So I knew I wasn't worried about getting rid of the words. If you have an icon like the Google Doc, you probably don't want to get rid of the words, but you can customize the name of that. And then the next thing I want to show you on managing your bookmarks is you can actually click on any of these, and you see that thick black line. I'm traveling down my bookmarks bar. I prefer to keep all of my individual favicons all the way to the left. It's just the way my brain works. There we go. So you can move these bookmarks wherever you need them to be. If you need to pull a bookmark from your side list, you can always grab this and pull it up and travel along. Make sure you're along that bookmarks bar. Drop it where you need it to be, and that's where it will go. Now, if you notice anything else on my bookmarks bar that maybe you might find helpful, do you see the little folder? That's right. You can make folders on your bookmarks bar. Love it. Super excited when I found this out because I can make collections then inside that folder. They're very easy to access because they're on my bookmarks bar and I can see them. It's not the side navigation down into no man's land. So before you really worry about a lot of those that are down into no man's land, maybe some of those should be collected into a folder. And it's really simple to make that folder. Stay on the bookmarks bar somewhere, probably not where there's words because you start doing the clicking and you might open that up. And so do a 2-finger tap on the bookmarks bar or a right click, and then go down a little more than halfway and see where it says add folder. Go ahead and click on it, and you can call it new folder. You can call it maybe history. Maybe it's your collection for history class. Maybe it's for a particular period, like period 1 bookmarks or period 5 bookmarks. Or maybe this is your club that you're an advisor for, or you're the teacher moderator for something else, and you click save. And you might go, well, but Sarah, I don't see it. Well, it's because of where I clicked on my bookmarks bar. I clicked all the way over here. There's not enough space on my bookmarks bar for that folder to live. So on my 2 arrows, I'm going to grab my history folder and I'm going to bring it up here, move it right there, right where I want it. Bingo. And now I can even drop items into, like, oh, I need to put that in my history folder. Hover over it. Did you see how it kind of grayed a little bit? I want to put the Department of Education in there. And notice what's happening as I am collecting, as I am organizing my bookmarks, I can start to see more and more from that side list. Now you might go, what if you come across now a bookmark as you're organizing and you don't want it? Like this one, I already have one over here. I don't need a second one. You're going to find that a lot. So many of my teachers go, I have that bookmarked like 4 times. Do you need it? Nope. Delete it then. So again, 2-finger click on that bookmark and you get to delete. 2-finger click on that bookmark or right click, delete. Grab what you need, house it where it needs to go. Create these collections. Really do work to clean up your bookmarks bar. It will go a long way in helping you get control of Chrome. Now, I'm going to show you how you can also do this in a little bit different of a way. I like to have it there because that gives my brain the visual, like this is actually what it's going to look like when I'm using my Chrome account. But you certainly can come over here to the World's Skinniest Snowman, go to Bookmarks, and then go to Bookmarks Manager, and it's going to give you the list this way. So it'll allow you to organize your bookmarks on a page like this, which for some people might be a better way of doing this visually than the way that I was doing before, just right along your bookmarks bar. It shows you any of your folders over here. And then obviously on the right side where you see all of these World's Skinniest Snowmans, clicking on them allows you to do all of these options too. So bookmarking, totally can get that under control. I really do suggest that you work on that, and that way you can move forward. I really do hope that this has been helpful. And if you like what you see and you want to work more with Casey, myself, or any of the Shake Up Learning training team, please do reach out to us. Our website's here. We'd love to work with you. Google related, dynamic learning related, whatever the case might be. Please make sure that you reach out, and I look forward to seeing you again.